All right, back on board, crew. So the first thing you're gonna need to repair polyethylene, the first thing you're gonna need to do is get you some isopropyl alcohol or some denatured alcohol like this camp fuel right here, and you wanna clean the surface really good. Then you're gonna wanna rough the surface up with some sandpaper, and then you're gonna wanna clean it again with the alcohol. Next thing you're gonna wanna do is get you some polyethylene plastic, which is designated by this 5 pp on it. And then the last piece of equipment you're going to need is a welder, or a soldering iron. This is just a welding soldering iron with a different tip on it. And once you have that and you have a good clean prep surface, then you're ready to start welding. All right, let's get into it. Back on board. Yo, back on board, crew. So the next thing I would recommend is to put you a good coat of 303 on it. Spray it down, wipe it down, and I'll show y'all what she looks like after we do that. All right, back on board, crew. I just wanted to stop for a second. We're actually starting to drift backwards, but I wanted to kind of explain that whole attainment and stuff. This board actually done really good. It's everything I was kind of hoping it would be, to where I could paddle up river with it. It's plastic. I could put different fins in it, do whatever I want to do. And for 50 bucks, I mean, I couldn't even dream of building a board for that to do what this is doing. So I'm really pleased with it. I'm gonna keep paddling up the river and see how it still performs. Back on board. You. Yo, what's going on, back on board, crew? So you all that follow the channel a lot and have seen this run before, we're about halfway to the rapid, and so I'm actually going to turn around now because it's an after work run and I don't want to push it too much. I got a whole bunch of other stuff I need to do down in the shop, so I'm going to go ahead and head back and we'll talk about the board some more on the way back. Back on board. Yep. All right, so while we're just floating, I'm gonna tell y'all my whole deal with this board. So I've been paddling whitewater since about 2010. I remember when SUP really started blowing up, and that's all you seen was boards of this shape, the longboard style paddle boards. And I wasn't into it then, but I always thought that was cool. And I've always, for some reason, wanted to paddle a board that was this shape, but I never got the chance to, because really when I got into SUP, like, we started going to the more modern shapes that we're using now, and really high performance whitewater boards like the Firestorm came out. And so I've always paddled a lot of what they call dugout style boards, like drop down style boards. But I've always wanted to come back to these surf shape style boards and see really how they perform. So when I seen this board for 50 bucks, I knew it was going to the house with me. And doing a little weld job on it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, it's super easy, and you know, I love doing board repair anyway. But that's enough of me talking about it. We're going ahead and I'm gonna start punching it out and smash it up, and I'm gonna head back, and I'll see y'all at the vehicle. Back on board. Yep. All right, yo, what's going on, Back on Board crew? I actually brought y'all to the shop because there was a few things I didn't mention in the video that I wanted to go ahead and touch bases on, like the fin that I'm running. So the fin that I was running is my signature 3-inch 3D printed fin. And I was also running, if you notice these little mounts I made, those are 3D printed as well. And they're actually adhesed on there with double-sided tape, like industrial grade tape. And people are like, double-sided tape, that's gonna come loose. No, there's actually a lot of manufacturers that do that on polyethylene boards. And one thing that you have to be super careful of is if you're gonna glue or weld or anything like that on polyethylene, you need to prep the surface. And the surface needs to be prepped a particular way. Like the surface needs to be good and clean. And then once you clean it, you saw how I hit it with that torch. You need to be really careful and hit it with the orange flame, like the orange part of the flame on the torch. And what that actually does is that changes the structure of the plastic on a molecular level to betterly accept any kind of glue or anything that you're trying to bond to it. But enough of me talking about that technical stuff. On to the next spot. Back on board. Yo, what's going on, Back on Board crew? I hope y'all enjoyed this week's video. Doing some polyethylene welding on that board, making the mounts for it, taking it out, testing it out, and just having a good time on the river. And if y'all enjoyed this content, make sure you give me a like, subscribe to the channel so we can keep pumping out content like this. And I'll see y'all on the next one. But before then, I'll leave y'all with this week's quote. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Back on board.